When Disney Plus launched with that epic Marvel trailer, I was absolutely buzzing with excitement. We all knew this was going to change everything. Marvel had just given us Endgame, the culmination of over a decade of storytelling. And now they had unlimited real estate to tell stories that theaters could never contain. No more cramming character development into 2 hours. Just pure, unlimited storytelling potential. I genuinely thought we were going to witness the golden age of Marvel content. And you know what? For about 6 weeks, I was right. Then something went horribly, catastrophically wrong, and Disney Plus became Marvel's biggest missed opportunity in cinematic history. In this video, we'll explore the shocking truth about Marvel's streaming disaster. What if Disney Plus wasn't the problem that killed the MCU, but actually the golden goose that Marvel butchered beyond recognition? How could one simple series have solved Phase 4's biggest problems while setting up the most emotionally devastating Secret Wars ever? And what's the business model that could have delivered unlimited creativity without superhero fatigue? Stick around, because I'm about to show you the timeline where Disney Plus saved Marvel instead of supposedly destroying it. Before we dive into this alternate reality where Marvel actually understood what they had, smash the subscribe button if you've ever watched a Disney Plus Marvel show and thought this could have been so much better. I release box office deep dives, movie commentary, and breakdowns of the business decisions that make or break entire franchises twice every week. Trust me, after what I'm about to show you, you'll never look at Marvel's missed opportunities the same way again. The golden goose that got butchered. Here's what drives me absolutely insane about this whole situation. We all agree that Marvel's Disney Plus shows were one of the biggest catalysts of the current downfall of the MCU. But what if I told you that's completely backwards? What if Disney Plus was actually Marvel's golden goose that they butchered so badly, they're now wondering why it doesn't lay golden eggs anymore? Think about this. For over a decade, Marvel Studios operated under one massive constraint, the 2.5-hour theatrical window. Every story, every character arc, every world-building moment had to fit into that box. Then suddenly, Disney Plus handed them unlimited real estate, infinite storytelling space, the freedom to experiment with horror, comedy, political thrillers, cosmic epics, street-level crime dramas,
Where to make this useful?
all under one connected universe. This should have been Marvel's golden age of experimentation. Their chance to go deeper, weirder, more ambitious than any studio had ever dared. Look at how The Penguin became a gritty crime masterpiece that just happened to be set in Matt Reeves' Batman universe. Marvel could have done that with every genre imaginable. Instead, they treated Disney Plus like a dumping ground for leftover plot threads and D-list characters. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. It didn't have to be this way, and I can prove it to you. The story that should have started it all. Remember that moment at the end of Infinity War? Nick Fury reaching for that pager, turning to dust, and in the post-credits we got a glimpse of what the world looked like during the snap? That 47 seconds of footage haunted me for months. The empty streets, the crashed helicopters, the absolute silence of a world that had lost half its population in an instant. We saw hints of it in Spider-Man Far From Home and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but that was barely scratching the surface. Avengers Endgame ended with the people coming back from the snap, and everyone just moved on like it was a minor inconvenience. That's when it hit me. The story that should have launched Disney Plus wasn't WandaVision, as good as those first episodes were. It wasn't The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It should have been the story that Marvel was too afraid to tell. Disney Plus should have launched with a series called The Snap, a gritty, unflinching look at how civilians tried to survive when half of humanity vanished in an instant. Picture this with me. Planes falling out of the sky because the pilot disappeared mid-flight. Trains derailing because the conductor blipped away. Cars careening into buildings. Hospitals losing half of their staff overnight. Parents vanishing, leaving children alone. Children disappearing, leaving parents broken. The entire world grinding to a standstill. Infrastructure collapsing. Grocery stores emptying. Power grids failing. And in that chaos, real human chaos, crime doesn't just increase, It explodes. Just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. This could have been Marvel's The Walking Dead, a disaster series that just happens to be set in the MCU. No superheroes needed, just raw human survival and the complete breakdown of civilization. How I would have told the story. Let me create some example characters to make this easier to explain. We follow a middle-class family in Queens. I'll call the dad Marcus, a paramedic, and the mom Sarah, a high school teacher. They have 2 teenage kids, Jake, 16, and Emma, 14. They're not special, they're not connected to any heroes, they're just us. When the snap happens, Sarah and Emma disappear. Just like that, mid-conversation at the dinner table. One second Emma's complaining about her math homework, the next second there's just empty space where she was sitting. Sarah's hand reaches across the table and then dust. Now you've got Marcus, a paramedic watching his city burn while trying to process that his wife and daughter might never come back. His surviving son, Jake, is shell-shocked, barely speaking, and Marcus has to choose between saving strangers and protecting the only family he has left. Over the course of Season 1, we watch this world fall apart through their eyes. Marcus goes to work and half his ambulance crew is gone. Jake goes to school and half his teachers, half his friends just aren't there anymore. The grocery stores run out of food because half the supply chain vanished. The police can barely function. Street gangs start forming. Maybe Jake starts running with one of these gangs because that's the only family structure left in his world. Maybe Marcus has to make impossible choices between his oath to save lives and protecting his son. Maybe they both slowly realize that the people they were before the snap are dead too, even though they survived. 5 years of this. 5 years of showing how humanity rebuilds, how new power structures emerge, how people find hope in hopelessness. We get attached to these characters, invested in their new world, rooting for them to find peace in the chaos. Then, just as viewers are fully invested in this new reality, everyone comes back. Season 2 will be the chaos doubles. The trauma multiplies. People return to a world that moved on without them. Families torn apart again, but differently this time. Sarah and Emma return to find Marcus and Jake are completely different people. Jake's covered in gang tattoos and flinches when Emma tries to hug him. Marcus has PTSD and can't stop working because sitting still makes him think about the 5 years he spent believing his family was dead forever. But here's where the series takes a turn, and this is something Manifest understood that Marvel completely missed. The returned aren't just grateful to be back, they're pissed. Sarah comes home to find that Marcus moved her things to the garage years ago because seeing them was too painful. Emma discovers that her room is now Jake's makeshift workshop where he builds weapons for his gang. Her childhood photos are gone, her bed, her posters, her entire identity erased. The returned feel like strangers in their own lives. Sarah tries to go back to teaching, but her classroom has been permanently converted into a homeless shelter. Emma tries to reconnect with friends, but the few who survived have moved on, built new lives that have no room for ghosts from the past. So what do the returned do? They band together. They form their own communities, their own power structures, and suddenly you've got 2 entirely different populations fighting for the same resources in the same space. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think this approach would have worked better than what we actually got? Which side would you be on, the survivors or the returned? On one side, you have the survivors, people like Jake who endured 5 years of hell, who built new societies from scratch, who earned their place through blood and struggle. They look at the returned and think, we did the hard work, we kept the world running, this is our world now. On the other side, you have the returned, people like Sarah and Emma, who feel robbed of their lives, their homes, their identities. They look at what the survivors built and think, you stole our world while we were gone, and we want it back. This is the civil war the Falcon and Winter Soldier hinted at, but never had the courage to fully explore. This isn't just family drama. This is the powder keg that ignites street-level conflicts across the entire MCU. This is why crime explodes even after the blip ends. This is why vigilantes like Daredevil, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight are desperately needed. How this fixes Phase 4's biggest problem. And this approach would have solved Phase 4 and 5's biggest problem. The main issue wasn't just bad writing. It was the lack of coherent story with nothing to build towards. Phase 1 through 3 had central figures like Iron Man and Captain America to follow. Characters we got invested in, whose journeys we wanted to see through. But what if the central figure wasn't a superhero this time? What if it was a theme? The snap itself. I can't believe how non-existent such a massive event in Marvel's history has become. It gets barely mentioned, and people just move on as if they weren't just blipped away for 5 years. No consequences are shown, no villains created from it, no heroes born from it, nothing. This is the most traumatic event in human history, half of all life vanishing and then returning 5 years later, and Marvel treats it like a footnote. But in this version, the Snap series would have set up criminal organizations that directly tied to every street-level hero's story. Maybe Foggy blips away, and Matt has to live with that trauma for 5 years. Maybe that's what finally breaks his no-killing rule. Meanwhile, Kingpin walks out of prison when half the guards disappear, building the biggest criminal network New York has ever seen for 5 years with no daredevil to stop him. During the chaos, we could show a brilliant teenager named Riri Williams watching her neighborhood descend into lawlessness, so she builds a suit of armor while the world burns. Moon Knight could emerge as a protector stalking the lawless nights when crime runs rampant after dark. Every hero's origin becomes tied to humanity's darkest hour. Every villain's rise becomes a direct consequence of that 5-year collapse. Instead of random disconnected origin stories, you get a cohesive narrative about how the snap fundamentally changed the world. Secret Invasion done right. All of this culminates in a much more interesting approach to Secret Invasion. While humanity was distracted by survival, while governments collapsed, while heroes were either gone or broken, the Skrulls used the chaos to embed themselves everywhere. 5 years of infiltration while no one was paying attention to anything except staying alive. The crime boss who filled the power vacuum? Skrull. The new police commissioner who's been tough on vigilantes? Skrull. The gang leader that Jake joined? Skrull. Even some of the heroes we've been following could be replacements. Maybe when Sarah and Emma returned, it wasn't really them. Suddenly, Secret Invasion isn't just generic alien invasion number 47. It's the payoff to years of storytelling. The snap wasn't just Thanos' victory, it was the Skrulls' opportunity. Every show, every movie we've been watching has been building to the horrifying realization that the world didn't just survive the snap, it was conquered during it. The multiverse done right. But what about the cosmic side? What about the multiverse? Here's where Disney Plus could have become something truly special. We had Loki do something meaningful with the multiverse, but imagine if we built on that properly. Instead of jumping randomly between universes like What If did, we get dedicated entire seasons to exploring specific alternate realities. Each one becomes a different genre experiment. A noir Spider-Man in 1940s New York, complete with shadowy cinematography and hard-boiled detective work. A medieval Fantastic Four dealing with cosmic threats in a world of knights and magic. A cosmic horror Guardians of the Galaxy that genuinely unsettles viewers. A Western Avengers protecting frontier towns from supernatural threats. Each universe gets breathing room to establish its own rules, tone, and storytelling style while still serving a larger narrative building towards Secret Wars. And here's the villain that ties it all together. Superior Iron Man from Earth 838. You see Tony Stark's darker path in that reality, watch him build his power, establish the Illuminati. Then he arrives to find his friends slaughtered by Wanda and thinks our Doctor Strange helped her. Over multiple seasons, we watch him gain power across realities, systematically destroying universes that test his limits. He realizes the only way to destroy Earth 616 is to infiltrate it with someone they trust. He takes our Tony's face and identity, positioning himself to become Doctor Doom. The business model that actually works. And here's the business model that Marvel completely missed. You only need to release 2 shows per year to make this work. 2 different genres, 2 different universes, 2 completely different viewing experiences. One year it's noir Spider-Man and cosmic horror Guardians. The next year it's medieval Fantastic Four and Western Avengers. Since each show explores a different genre, superhero fatigue wouldn't exist. You're not watching the same formula over and over. You're getting a crime thriller that happens to have Spider-Man, or a period drama that happens to have the Fantastic Four. Quality over quantity.
Assemble.
Deep storytelling over content dumping. 2 premium shows, that people actually want to watch instead of 8 mediocre ones they feel obligated to slog through. Secret Wars with real stakes. Then, when you finally get to Secret Wars, the stakes are real. We've seen every universe. We've watched Superior Iron Man destroy entire realities. When he finally reveals himself as Doctor Doom and starts collapsing the multiverse, it's not just CGI spectacle. It's the destruction of worlds we've actually lived in for years. And you don't see all these characters interact for the first time either. There would have been 1 or 2 or 3 Avengers movies before with the Secret Invasion where their dynamics were established. So Secret Wars becomes about character arcs that have been building, not awkward introductions and rushed team-ups. That noir Spider-Man universe you followed for an entire season? Gone. The medieval Fantastic Four you grew attached to? Destroyed. This is how you make Secret Wars feel like the end of everything. Because for the audience, it literally is. The ultimate missed opportunity. Disney Plus could have been the ultimate golden goose for Marvel. Unlimited storytelling potential, infinite creative freedom, and a direct pipeline to fans hungry for deeper content. Instead, it became the scapegoat for every problem with Phase 4 and 5. Honestly, they could have done so much better than what I've outlined here, because they have billions of dollars and teams of talented writers, while I'm just a guy with a laptop piecing things together. But that's what makes this so frustrating. The potential was right there, and they completely wasted it. Marvel had all 6 Infinity Stones of storytelling, unlimited time, space, reality, power, mind, and soul, and somehow used them to create the most mediocre content in the universe. Speaking of taking massive opportunities and actually doing something brilliant with them instead of fumbling the bag completely, check out my deep dive on how Warner Bros. Absolutely dominated 2025 while everyone else was playing catch-up. It's a masterclass in strategic planning that Marvel could desperately learn from. Because apparently, some studios actually know how to turn potential into profit instead of turning gold into garbage.